Hello, I'm Bethany, and I am a lower elementary Montessori teacher, but I also do Spanish tutoring through my business, Parts of the Language LLC. I have a bachelor's degree in Spanish, and I love talking about Spanish grammar. So I'm going to go through different topics in different videos to talk about certain parts of Spanish grammar. In this video, we are talking about how to conjugate a verb. Before we get started, I want to point out that accents are like fingerprints. Each person has a different one. So that means if you don't like the way I pronounce or my accent in Spanish, you can go to a translator app or something like that to hear the words in Spanish if you do not like the way I pronounce them. Even in your own native language, you have it your own individual accent, just like your own individual fingerprints. So everybody has a different one. It is just dependent on how you say the words. Now, also, I am not a native Spanish speaker, but I love explaining Spanish grammar. So here we go. What is a verb? A verb is an action word. So that's like to eat, to sing, to see, to swim, to walk, to run, to anything that you do. It's in action. Anything you do is in action, and that is a verb. So there's three types of Spanish verbs. There's AR verbs, ER verbs, and IR verbs. And these become important when we start to conjugate a verb. So these are the verb endings. So AR, ER, and IR are the three different verb endings. But what is a conjugation? A conjugation changes the form so that we know who we are talking about. We have to change the verb to know who we are talking about. But what is a verb tense? A verb tense is when the verb happens. So the conjugation is who's doing it, and the tense is when it happened. Was it the past? Was it the present? Or was it the future? Or a bunch of other Spanish verbs, and it's a lot of fun. Here we go. So let's talk about the verb tenses in Spanish. Because there's a lot of them, do not get overwhelmed. So let's see. The first group we have, well, let's start with this. The infinitive of a verb is an unconjugated form of the verb. That means you don't change anything in the verb. It is just the verb. Like in English, we say to eat. In Spanish, it's comer. And so comer is the infinitive of to eat. And when we say infinitives in English, we put the to in front of it, to eat. That is an infinitive, comer. And you'll see in a while how that happens. But let's just do an overview of all the verb tenses in Spanish. Number one is, excuse me, the first group, because you could see there's three different groups we're going to go through, is the indicative. So that's just a fancy name for the different tenses for right now. So first is the present tense, things happening now. The past, there are actually two different past tense in Spanish, and each of them has their own conjugation and tense, as you could see. So there's the preterite tense, which is a past tense that has completed, and a lot of other things, and the imperfect, which is an ongoing action. Now, that is a very simple definition of preterite and imperfect, and I will make videos in the future, or if you're watching this in the future, they may be up now, where I go and explain all the different verb tenses and we practice conjugating verbs in those specific tenses. So first is the present, then the past, preterite, imperfect, and then we have the future. So that's how we kind of know it in English. We have the present, the past, and the future. You're like, okay, I'm getting this so far. And I like to say in Spanish, I mean, for grammar learning, we don't truly know the grammar of our native language until we learn another language because I barely knew the grammar of English before I learned Spanish, and now I love Spanish grammar. It's a lot of fun, and I'll show you why. And then the conditional, so that's the woulds or coulds, things. I would do this, right? Or I could do this. That's the conditional tense. And then the present progressive. So think in English the ing words. When we go through this, I'll show you how to do it in Spanish. When we talk about present progressive verbs, but for right now, just think ing words in English, like running, swimming, and we put the I am in front of it. Well, plot twist, you're going to do the same thing in Spanish, but obviously it's not I am or you are, it's different verb, their own verb. And then we have the past participle. So the past participle could be in the present perfect or the past perfect. So think about like the have done. I have done my work today, or I had done my work yesterday. That's the past and the present. So think about have and has. He has written a book. He had written a book. Like you see, have and has with the participle at the end. And again, when you watch the different videos, it will make more sense. And now we have my favorite mood, um, because I guess technically indicative, and then the next two are like moods of verbs, the mood the verb is in. So it's subjunctive. And the cool thing is, we don't have, or I should say, we don't use the subjunctive anymore in English, which is so cool because you have to think of like Shakespearean English if you think of the subjunctive. That's why sometimes it's so hard to read his work. If you read Shakespeare, people say, "Oh, it's so difficult." Well, some of it's in the subjunctive, and we don't use the subjunctive in English anymore. But you best bet they use it in Spanish, and it's my favorite conjugation. There's a present subjunctive and a past subjunctive. And then the last one is imperative, and we have this in English. They are commands. So we have formal commands in Spanish, which are usted, which we'll talk about here soon. And then we have informal commands of tú, which are the you one. And as we'll see here in a few minutes, the usted and tú are pronouns. So these are most of the tenses. These are the big tenses we go through. There's also reflexive verbs, this, that, and the other. There's also different types of verbs, but these are like the verb tenses. And so, yes, I guess we could have added reflexive on here. And the fun thing is, this is where it gets so fun, and I'm not even joking. The fun thing is, each verb tense has a different conjugation. Each one of these, each one of these has a different conjugation. And you're thinking, Bethany, well, of course, even in English, there's different conjugations like I eat, I ate, I will eat, things like that. I am eating. But you'll see why it's so different in Spanish, but more fun, honestly. So, how to conjugate a verb. So, first, let's start with parts of the verb. The first part of the verb is the infinitive. Here, comer, infinitive, comer. It means to eat. When you conjugate a verb, there's different parts. So the first part is com, which is the stem or the root. This is called the stem of the verb, com. And then we have the ending, which is er. So this is an er verb when I told you there were ar, er, and ir verbs. Okay, so first we have the infinitive, just the verb comer. We separate the stem from the ending. Oop, I separated it. There we go. And now what to do? So you take the verb, you take comer, you drop the ending, so you're left with com, and you add the correct verb tense ending you want. Como. Como is just I eat. Okay? And we'll talk about that a little bit later, even though I'm not going through the different conjugations in this video. So, how to know what ending to use? Well, you have to go back to what tense you want to speak in it. Did it happen now in the present? Is it currently happening in the present progressive? Will it happen in the future? Did it happen in the past and it's completed? Or is it still an ongoing action in the past? Or is it subjunctive? And the subjunctive which I think I forgot to say a little bit earlier, expresses doubts, um, feelings and things like that. So, or wants and wishes. So, are you wanting something? Do we have to conjugate it that way? Or are you telling someone to do something? Is it in the command form? So we have to know what verb tense. Once we have that stem, we have to know what ending to add by what verb tense we want to use. And we also have to know what pronoun. So a pronoun replaces the noun, who the verb is being conjugated for. So here we go into the pronouns. I'm going to talk about the pronouns in here because you need to know the pronouns in order to conjugate a verb. Before you even know any of the endings, you have to know what is the pronoun. So here are the pronouns in Spanish. I'll make a different video or have a different video of just explaining the pronouns that will look similar to this. In English, we have I, and in Spanish, it's yo. Yo. Now, some people make a really hard J sound with a jo, 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 jo. Um, yo is kind of Englishized, I would say. So a lot of times it is jo, jo, jo. Okay. But again, that's dependent on what country you're studying from or where you are in the world. So it could be yo or it could be jo. A lot of it's mostly jo. Um, and then we have two different yous. There's the informal you, like if you're talking to your pal, which is tu, tu, tu. And then we have the formal you. If you're talking to an older relative, if you're talking to a teacher, if you're talking to somebody you don't know, you may use the usted, usted, usted. You might use usted. So we have yo, tú, usted. Here is a continuation of the pronouns. He is él, él. And you'll notice the accent marks like in tú and él. The accent is where you put the emphasis on the word and where you put the emphasis in saying the word or pronouncing the word. And it's always used, especially you're like, I'll have to make a whole video about when to use accent marks, but it's used when the emphasis of the word is not usually where it would be. So they changed where the emphasis of the word is, so it needs an accent mark so everybody knows where to emphasize that part of the word. And then ella. I know in English that looks like Ella. No, double L's make the like the J sound, ella, or the y, ella, ella. Okay? Now here's where we gets a little bit tricky. You'll notice here that this has an O and this one has an A. So this is for we. This is male you and a group of males. Nosotros, nosotros, nosotros. Okay? But if it's you, a female, and a group of females, it's nosotras, nosotras, nosotras. But if it's you, either male or female, and a group of males and females, it is always nosotros, nosotros. And here's why. Even if you had 100 ladies and one man, it would still be nosotros. As long as there's a man in the group for we, including yourself that's in this group, then it's nosotros. If it's all ladies and you are a lady, it is nosotras. Okay? So it could be like my mom and I, so I'm a girl, and my mom, we would be nosotras, right? But myself and my dad would be nosotros. Or 100 ladies and you, nosotras. 50 men, 50 ladies, and you, nosotros. As long as there's a singular man in there, it defaults to nosotros. But if it's all girls, it's nosotras. That is the difference. So this y'all or you all is used in Spain. It is vosotros. And again, it follows. So now we're not in this y'all. You, that doesn't include you. So like, it's almost like them, like you all over there. You all, you all, vosotros, if it's all males. And then it's vosotras. And also, the V actually makes the same sound as a B. So you'll hear heavily vosotros and vosotras. In um in our natural English, because I'm assuming many people watching this speak native English, nosotros, excuse me, it's common for us to want to say vosotros, vosotros, but actually, if you study the linguistics of Spanish, B's and B's in Spanish make the same exact sound. It just feels unnatural for us to look at that and say vosotros, vosotras. But it's just very slight. It's almost like you're tricking your brain into saying one or the other. Vosotros, um, vosotros, vosotras. And again, it follows that same O if it's a man group and A if it's a lady group. And now we're getting into they. If it's they, all males, and this does not include you because it's not we, they, all males, ellos. There's that y sound. It's not ellos. No, I don't want to hear that. I want to hear ellos, ellos, ellos. And then if it's they, all females, ellas, ellas, ellas. And notice the difference with el, he, el, y con acento L, e with an accent L, versus ellos, where the plural of ella, she is just ellas, and you add that s, ellas, ellas. And then the formal they or the formal they, and some people use ustedes instead of the y'all in Spain. In other countries, they use ustedes to mean like you all, or it could just be the formal you. Like if you're talking to a group of like you're both your grandparents, you could say ustedes, ustedes. So it's usted and then ustedes, usted and then ustedes. And you'll hear, shouldn't it be usted s? Well, when a D, V, or G is in between two vowels, the vowels are A, E, I, O, U. In between two vowels, it becomes an intervocalico, which means it's just in between two vowels. It becomes a soft D. Um, and that's just a tip. So it's not ustedes, ustedes. You make it soft. Ustedes, ustedes, ustedes. Whereas usted, usted, ustedes, ustedes, ustedes. Just a fun Spanish tip. Okay. Now here is where it happens, the actual conjugation, which I'm very excited about. So how to conjugate first, the very common thing you'll see is a conjugation table, and I could conjugate verbs forever because it's so much fun. But before I show you how to actually conjugate a verb, I'm going to show you what this box means. So in each box, you need to have a pronoun. Each one of these different boxes represents a pronoun. We'll go through them. I in English, yo in Spanish, you in English, tú in Spanish, he, she, formal you, él, ella, ustedes, he, él, she, ella, formal you, usted. Oops, I think I said ustedes, but usted for that one. Él, ella, usted are all have the same ending conjugation, and I'll show you. We, nosotros, or nosotras. Y'all in Spain, vosotros, vosotras. They or y'all in the formal or you formal is ellos, ellas, ustedes. And these can also be known as first person singular. So it's a singular person in the first person. Second person singular, you is a second person pronoun and it is a singular verb because it's one person. El, ella, usted is a third person singular because it's one person and it's a singular form. And then nosotros, nosotras is a first person plural because it's you as in I and in a group of people. So it's more than one, which is plural. Vosotros, vosotras is second person plural. So again, it's the plural, more than one. And then ellas, ellos, ustedes is a third person plural. That's just a tip because sometimes you will see it referred as that. So that is why we need pronouns because each one goes in this box. So let's just conjugate a verb because you're probably like, Bethany, why don't we have this in English? Why don't we conjugate verbs in English? And as you could see on the screen, whoa, all those verbs look the same. Almost. It's I eat, you eat, he eats, she eats, you formal eats, which doesn't really fly in English, but whatever. um, we eat, y'all eat, they eat. Do you see how, except for the third person singular box, all of them are eat, 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 eat. The only one that changes is eats. And if this is the present tense, if we did it in the past tense, it would be I ate, you ate, he ate, she ate, we ate, you all ate, and they ate. So the past doesn't change at all. In the present, though, we add that S in English, and I assume that is why we don't study conjugating verbs in Spanish. In English, we just know the pronouns and how to put the verb with it. We study the verb tenses, but we don't actually study the verb like that or conjugate it like that. And here I have the highlight for you again that the third person singular, he, she, and formal you in Spanish is the one that changes. But in Spanish, all of them change. All of the endings will change. So let's go. In Spanish, the endings for the present, and this, I'm just doing a present ER verb for the showing of how each ending is different. So for yo, in our yo, we have the O. Then we have the S, A, hemos, ais, en. Are you ready to hear and see the conjugations of comer? How to say to eat. So to say I eat, we say, oh wait, well first, let's do it. The infinitive, comer. We drop that ending, com. Here we go. We're going to add the endings we see here for who we're talking about. I eat, como. Now we could say, and I'm going to bring this up later, we could say yo como. We could say that, or yo como. We could say that, but we don't have to because the conjugated part at the end tells us who it is. So, as we saw with English, if we just say eat, well, who eats? Because we know it's not a he, she, because we didn't say eats, right? We said eat. It could be I eat, could be you eat, could be we eat, it could be they eat, it could be y'all eat. And that is why in English we have to use the pronoun. But in Spanish, we don't. It's cool. We could say yo como or como. Both are correct. Comes. Tú comes. Él come. Ella come. Usted come. And now here, you're like, okay, well, there's three options. In the conversation, if you know it's a she and you don't want to say ella, 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 ella over and over and over again, you could just say come because it's understood. But you could say el come, right? Now, comemos for nosotros, nosotras. For vosotros, vosotras, we say comáis. Again, that's just in Spain. And then for ellas, ellos, ustedes, comen. So you can see how we took that infinitive, got rid of the ending, and added our present tense ER endings. Because guess what? For AR present tense, there's different conjugations. For IR present tense, it's different conjugations. And that happens for every single one of the verbs. Yoo-hoo! And then we have irregular verbs that change either the stem of the verb or Yeah, mostly change the stem of the verb, and it's just so fun. Seriously, it's a lot of fun to learn and to know all these things. So let's see. What's next? Here it is again. Since the verb is conjugated to the pronoun, you do not need to say the pronoun. You eat, tú comes, or just comes, since you know. That's, you know. Let's practice. Okay, since we're not truly conjugating a verb, I'm just going to ask you what verb tense, excuse me, not verb tense, what pronoun goes in each box. If you want to, you can pause the video for a second and think after I ask the question. So, what pronoun goes here? What pronoun goes here? Yo. If you said yo or wrote down yo, you got it. Now let's see. What pronoun goes here? Tú. It's tú. It's the second person singular. Now, what pronoun goes here at the bottom of your conjugation table? All three. Él, ella, usted. Él, ella, usted. So if you're talking formally to someone again, you use usted and it's conjugated as he or she. But if it's just your friend or your pal or your kid, you could say tú. And then nosotros, excuse me, nosotros. Oh, wait, I forgot to ask you. Oh no. In this box goes nosotros, nosotras. Okay, let's see. What goes in this box? I'll give you a hint. It's the one from Spain. Vosotros, vosotras. And the last one. What goes in our last conjugation box table? Ellos, ellas, ustedes. You did it. So that is how you conjugate the verb. And let's see a little test after. What do? You take the infinitive, the unconjugated form of the verb, slash off either AR, IR, or ER. You take it off, you're left with the stem, and you add different endings. And there's 6 different endings to choose from in each tense for that verb. But then if the verb's a ER, AR, or IR, they all have different endings. How fun, but some overlap. So you'll see when you see those. So thank you for watching. Visit partsofthelanguage.com, which is my business website, for more Spanish learning. And also I do Spanish tutoring. So you could always reach out to me at bethany@partsofthelanguage.com, which is an email, or go to the contact form on my email if you just want to practice. It's a lot of fun. Thank you for watching. Enjoy any of the other videos I have. This is the very first one I am posting about Spanish. So if you're watching it a few years from now, that's cool. But maybe you're just watching it now and none of the rest are up yet. So I hope you get excited for those.